What's going on, everybody? This is part 3 or episode 3 of our build on the 125. Last time we got the cylinder back on with new piston and replated cylinder. Got it to start and it ran, and that's about all I did. So this time we're going to do the last final touches on it, which would be suspension, brakes, and hopefully eventually, as soon as I get graphics and plastics, all the cosmetic stuff as far as that goes. But for right now, suspension and brakes are the top of the list as far as getting things done so I can go ride it and test it. After that, we can throw plastics wherever on it, no problem. So that's no big deal. Right now, yeah, we're going to take the suspension off. I'm going to figure out how to mount the brake system on as far as that new oversized rotor. And then we're going to do a full chassis prep on it too, which means greasing all the steering stem bearings, all the linkage bearings in the back, and all that fun stuff. We're going to take all that apart and get that greased and good to go. Make sure everything's good there. And so that means I have to not only take the forks off, take the triple clamps off, remove the swing arm, the rear shock to get to that, and then all the linkage and stuff. So good stuff. So yeah, let's get to it. I don't think these have ever been rebuilt, so the nice coating of dirt and oil around the base. That fork seal's probably all blown. Nice. Same thing with this one, just oil all down the back of it. So this is a 13 to 16 front fender off, a newer Honda. All you gotta do is drill out other holes to make it fit this bike. So the newer Hondas mount here, the older ones had 4 holes in the back. So taking the steering stem off, take the big nut off the top, which is there. There's a washer underneath it. This guy comes off no problem. Then you have your other nut here that you gotta take off. Then the whole steering stem will drop out. Shouldn't be all that tight, so just a big pair of channel locks. Get it loose. Ta-da! So about 18 years of little to no use, but almost no grease on there. There's some grease there, like nothing on there. So we are going to put some grease on it, pack it full of grease, and reinstall them after I clean the old stuff off. And we do this for new bikes too, because new bikes off the factory have like this amount of grease on here, and it's like nothing. The bearings still feel pretty good. So, now's the fun part. Alright, a lot more grease on it. Way more grease on it than there was before. And I go put it back on. Other bearing in. Cleaned up the seals. Or seal, that one top one right here, that goes there. Then your lock nut. This is the nut that does your tension on here, so what makes it stiffer or looser for your steering. This one won't get a whole lot of foot torque, so use the pliers again. And to measure it, we'll have to put it all together to do that, but for now, we'll do this. And put the top clamp on. And for smart, we'll do it like that. With your nut. Oh. And washer. So then they're all together, and now they're, of course, separate from each other. So I'm not going to worry about that too much until I get the forks back on. So I'll snug that up. That's the one, the top one gets the torque. I think it's like 80 foot-pounds or something like that, something crazy. It's the same torque as the rear axle. But, I'll call that good for up here, and move to the back. Alright, so to remove the shock, there's two ways to do it. The easiest way probably would be to remove the seat, loosen the subframe bolts, remove the shock bolts, kind of push the subframe over, and then pull the shock out the top. I'm not going to do it that way because I'm going to do the whole chassis prep on the swing arm, so for me I'm going to remove the swing arm and level linkage and pull the shock out the bottom. That's how I do it on all the newer KTMs. So that's how I'm gonna do it here because I gotta grease all these guys here, here, here. And the swing arm pivot bolt is gonna get greased down those bearings too. So since I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna remove swing arm, this brake, master cylinder, and it's all gonna kinda come out. Get to it. there's no bolts holding the shock in right now. And it's just kind of sitting there. I mean, it's wedged in up there, so let's try to get that out. Slide in, bolt the seat back on yet. There's one way to remove the shock. And removing the swing arm, not it. Because Senor is hitting the exhaust on the reservoir. Shucks. The reservoir is too tall. Alright, let's loosen some subframe bolts then. I got it! Yeah, I don't think this thing's ever been rebuilt, so this is gonna be interesting to see. Well, taking the whole subframe off wasn't part of the plan, but it's really 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 bolts, and the whole thing just pops off, so it's not that big of a deal, I guess. So yeah. So now I'm gonna put grease into all 3 of these guys. Here, and there. This guy's gonna get grease in here. There's some bearings in there. And then in here on the swing arm. On the swing arm, in there and in there are both bearings that will get grease as well. There you are. Took it out, shot it up a little bit, some grease. Shined it up a little bit, cleaned it up. Did the same for that guy right there. Put grease in all of these guys, so we are all set to go back together. And I could put all this back on since I took the subframe off. I don't need to keep the swing arm off, so I can put it all back together and then put the shock in once I'm there. So let's do that. Well, at the end of the last video, she looked like a bike and was pretty much ready to ride. Now, not so much. But we did make progress. We got the suspension off, and the whole chassis prep is done as far as all the bearings are lubed, so we're good there. And I'm gonna tackle the suspension next week and get that ready to go. And I did figure out how to attach that brake caliper mount, the oversized one. I figured out how to attach it, so I'll do that once I get the suspension back on and I have a spot to hold it. So, yeah. So yeah, but it's the end of the day on a Friday, and I'm gonna go home so I can go ride tomorrow. I'm gonna pick up on this next week, which will be just a sec. Alright, I don't even know how many days we have till the race anymore. this whole COVID thing has been screwing up all of our schedules. Between this clip and the last clip, my 450 was stolen out of my storage unit. And I got the suspension off the 125 taken apart, and I got the forks reassembled. We ended up taking out a couple things. We're doing a revalve on it. Slight revalve, only changed a couple shims. Took these guys out. These bladders. This is the shock piston. Shock rings. Shock body. And my spring. So I'm going to put these guys back in my forks. Let's put these guys back in my forks, which are already bled, and then I will get those cleaned up as far as like getting the decals off of it. I get them cleaned up and back on the bike way over there. Over there. As far as Brian's bike goes, some progress has been made. We got the frame washed and cleaned up, and his motor is for the most part all back together, so we're slowly making progress at this point, since it's like the race is supposed to be May 9th, but I doubt that's gonna happen. So there's no real rush to get any of this going, but since my 450 got stolen, I'm gonna try to ride that bike at least once or twice. So yeah. New one? Okay, on there. What? This. Nah. I can't show you the before. It gels it out nice. I already got the shock apart, so. Alright. And all your shims. So when we do a revalve, this is what we're changing. These shims right here and how many and how thick and all that, that's what we change. So, compression, rebound. Okay. Alright, so I need to change the seal that's in there. Which means I gotta take this rubber out, which comes out, and then because this is older, this guy right here has to get hammered out so I can get this washer out, and then the seal comes out. So yeah, I gotta bend all this up so I can get this washer out. Ta-da! That comes out. We can take our spoon and oil seal. So then I do reverse order. Oil seal back in, washer, this guy, and then you hammer it all down. O-ring and our seal head has been rebuilt. That our cover. Put some grease in here on our seals so they're nice and lubed. Put our revalve shims back on. Loctite. $25. Oil in the reservoir. See the oil bubbles coming out. All right, now to fill it with nitrogen. And put the spring back on.
See,
and I died. And then it just dies.